Hey, buddy, watch this.
Hello, hello. Regis Kilbin is the name, and Hearthstone is the game. And this is part 2 of my review of the Whispers of the Old Gods card reveals. Today I've got 4 new cards to look at, and I'm pretty excited about these. So let's go ahead and jump right in, starting off with the new Paladin card, Stand Against Darkness. This is a 5-mana spell. And its effect is that it summons 5 1/1 Silver Hand Recruits. Now, Muster for Battle looks a lot like this card. It summons 3 1/1 Silver Hand Recruits and also gives you the Light's Justice 1/4 weapon for 3 mana. So comparing Stand Against Darkness to Muster for Battle, because that is the most obvious comparison, especially for Paladin, this looks a little bit worse. Now, granted, there is more value packed in since it only takes up 1 card in your deck. So in like late game or slower style decks, you can kind of get more bite for your bark with this card. But in reality, it's slower. It actually doesn't give you the weapon, which is one of the best parts about Muster for Battle, just because the weapon is a separate resource from your minions. So an AoE board clear that wipes out your minions still leaves you with the weapon, so you feel like you got some value. This one is so susceptible to so many different things. As far as like stats are concerned, you're just getting a 5/5 for 5. Sometimes them being separate 1/1s is worse. Sometimes it's better, but it doesn't like scream outstanding value. The combo effects with this could potentially be bigger, something like Quartermaster, but we don't know yet what's coming that could make this better. As it stands right now, for what we know with the current set, I don't think Stand Against Darkness is very good. It's just slow, it's awkward, it doesn't pack a punch. So until we see some crazy combos that come out of this, despite the cool artwork and the great name, I don't think this is a top tier card. Moving on, up next is a card called Eater of Secrets, which is the most hilarious name ever. But it does have a pretty cool artwork. And the effect, of course, is a dream come true for anyone who hates decks like Secret Paladin or Freeze Mage, because this one eats the secrets that those decks so heavily rely upon. It's a 4-mana 2/4, which is pretty bad as far as stats are concerned. When you compare this to something like Kezan Mystic, which is a 4/3 for 4, you get a couple extra stats, it hits a little harder. But Eater of Secrets has the amazing battle cry that you're looking at right now. Destroy all enemy secrets, unlike Kezan Mystic, which just steals 1 secret, mind you. And gain +1/+1 for each of those secrets. So anytime a Secret Paladin pulls 5 secrets, that means you gain 5/5 off of this card, making it a 7/9 in stats for 4 mana. Which is totally ridiculous. It's an amazing counter to Secret Paladins in particular. It's also good against Freeze Mage because you not only get rid of those ice blocks, but you deposit a solid minion on the board as well. The problem is, as far as fitting this into a deck is concerned, not every class has secrets. In fact, many of them don't. So this is a tech card, much like Kezan Mystic or Big Game Hunter, any other kind of tech card that's designed to answer a specific thing. The problem with this tech card is that a 2/4 just doesn't do anything. It doesn't trade into stuff. It dies too easily. A Kezan Mystic, at least you can kind of maybe make something happen with a 4/3. Yeah, it still dies easily, but 4 attack is a little bit more threatening than 2 attack. So this is not a good way to slow down aggro decks. It's really just specifically a secret counter card and a very specific tech card that I can't see taking off. Now, granted, just the mere existence of this card will make it harder for secret decks like Secret Paladin or Freeze Mage to exist, because they'll just be worried about such a big swing as this. It's also good, of course, against hunters. So just the existence and influence of this card means something, but I don't actually think we'll see it very often or really at all. Perhaps in tournament play, if you're expecting Freeze Mage or your lineup's weak to it, slotting in one of these cards might be better than a Kezan Mystic. So It's an option, but I just don't think it's good. Moving on to the next card. This one is a Hunter minion. The 8 mana, 8/8 giant sandworm. Whenever this minion kills another minion, it may attack again, and it is a beast as well. So it has nice Hunter-Beast synergies. The problem with this card that is really the problem with every other slow card like this one is that it's slow. Requires a big investment to get out onto the board. Now, granted, it has a pretty neat effect. It basically can do like 16 damage in a single turn. In fact, it's not clear from this description, and I actually haven't read up on this, but it may be able to attack infinitely, clearing an entire board. It says whenever it kills another minion, it may attack again. So, for instance, if it killed 5 Silverhand recruits from that Stand Against Darkness card, perhaps it could kill all 5, go down to 8/3, and then still actually attack the face. I don't have an answer there. That makes it a little better, of course, but still I'm just worried that it's slow. The potential exists. It's a nice big threat. I think Big Game Hunter's probably going away. Whether or not this card is going to be good depends on what else Hunter gets, if they can play a slower style deck. Also, it would be great with any charging effects with something like a Tundra Rhino. Could make this a lot better. But if Big Game Hunter exists, if the right Hunter cards aren't added that make slow decks viable, I just think Giant Sandworm is going to fall to the wayside. Just costing too much, coming too late, and not having an immediate impact. Because remember, it doesn't have charge, so you have to wait. Even though the effect is really cool, it takes time to pull off, and time is a very big resource in Hearthstone. So we'll have to see what Giant Sandworm has in store. And moving on to the last card for this particular review, it is Hogger, but it's not the regular old Hogger. It is the Hogger Doom of Elwynn. He seems to have been corrupted by some tentacles and so on and so forth. This is a 7 mana minion. It's also a 6/6 in stats, which is not great, but it's reasonable. Currently dodges Big Game Hunter. And whenever this minion takes damage, summon a 2/2 Knoll with Taunt. So unlike the standard Hogger right now, which is the 6 mana 4/4 that just summons a 2/2 at the end of the turn, this one has a little bit more control. It actively summons a 2/2 anytime it takes damage. So if you get this guy onto the board and attack into a trade, you might summon a free 2/2. In certain decks and classes like Warrior, you could get a couple 2/2s out of your Whirlwind effects, almost like a Grim Patron of sorts. Even like Priest with Wild Pyromancers could proc this effect, getting a nice little board. I think this card's interesting. It's a legendary, of course, so you'll only be able to run one. It might be hard to get, but I think there's potential here. A nice big body. It's hard to deal with for opponents. It's almost like a Trogzor in a sense, the same 7 mana 6/6, that anytime your opponent does something inefficient, you get to summon some minions. Of course, these are a little bit weaker minions. They're only 2/2s, but they also have Taunt, so it can be kind of a late save as well as needed. The problem with this card is that you will need to be ahead already to make it work. I don't know that it's great when you're behind because it doesn't have Taunt itself, so opponents can kind of just run through it and ignore you and steamroll you anyway. So that might be an issue, but if Blizzard delivers on the promise and removes a lot of the combo effects that win the game all of a sudden, you might not need Taunts so reliantly. So who knows? Hogger Doom of Elwynn has some potential, but probably won't take off as one of the strongest legendaries in the game unless we see some other stuff that comes in and makes him better. I will say that he's a pretty direct counter to Cthulhu, just because Cthulhu does 6, 10, 15 damage and pings to the board like arcane missiles when he activates his battle cry, and every time you hit this guy with a stray Cthulhu ping, he's got to be summoning a 2/2. So pretty great answer to this particular battle cry. So there you have it. That's part 2 of my review. I don't think any of these cards are outstanding. In fact, of all the cards we've seen so far, very few stand out to me right now as viable, good cards. Hogger Doom of Elwynn might be at the top of my list so far, but even he seems a little slow and a little awkward. So hopefully the upcoming reveals will give us some more exciting and powerful cards. So far, I'm just a tad disappointed. If you have any questions about these cards, any comments, please do share them. I'd be happy to hear your thoughts. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time with part 3, game on.